Hello, hello. This is Nina Erjavik. This is day 5 of my creative journey through the catalog. And today we're going to continue with the beautiful gallery suite. We are going to case this card right down here. So this is a beautiful card and I love it, and we're going to do lots of little media with it. So let's get started. Thanks for joining me and welcome. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stamp. So just as a refresher, this is Gallery Blooms along with its dies. We're going to use Beautiful Motif, which we're going to just use You've Been on My Mind. We're not going to use the dies for this one, but just the stamp set here. We are going to use this piece, and we are going to use this piece here. So let's go ahead and stamp this so that it has a nice drying time, because we will be using the alcohol markers. The best pad to use when you're using the alcohol markers, which is our Stampin' Blends, is the Memento Tuxedo Black. Okay, so we are just going to ink this up, and this is the flower. And I like to see where I'm going, so I can rub if I need to, pat if I need to. And I'm looking for, I don't see it. Okay, let's just go ahead. And then we're just going to stamp it on here. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. Hopefully it'll stay on there. This is our paper piercing mat, and if you find that your photopolymer you're not getting just that crisp image, use this. It just gives it that little bit of cushion that the stamp needs. There we go. Because, you know, as with these, we don't have the little foam underneath, so it needs a little bit of foam. So sometimes you need to use your paper piercing mat. And another tip, and we're going to set this aside to dry. Another tip too is you do not want to clean your stamp on your Stampin' Shammy with the Memento or the StazOn, because what happens then is it makes it look really yucky. So before you clean it off on that, use a wipe or a wet paper towel just to get some of that extra ink off before you actually take it to your Shammy or your cleaning pad. So that should be good, and then we'll take it to here. Now these look yucky, but they still work. You just rinse them out. I have been known to wash mine with a little dish detergent and rinse it really good just to get some of that extra ink out, but there we go. So that's nice and clean, so we'll put that aside. We put our paper aside so it can dry, and then in the meantime we are going to sandwich this die. So if you're following along with me, I'm on page 53. So we're going to die cut this, and I've shown you that if you want to see a tutorial on the cut and emboss machine, but you're just going to sandwich it with your plate 1, 2, and 3, making sure it's in the center. You can use a little post-it note if you want to have it held down tight. Sandwich the number 3 on top, and then run it through your cutting machine, and then it comes out looking like this. So you actually get 3 pieces for the price of 1. How cool is that? So we are going to use this piece today, so we'll set that aside. I'll put this aside since we don't need this right this minute. Okay, let's cover up our ink pad, because this will definitely do some major damage to a finished project. Okay, so let's do some blending. This paper is on page 55, and it's this paper here, and it is the beautiful Gallery 6x6 designer series paper. Amazing paper. I showed this on the other video, on video number 4. So we're going to take this, and we're going to take a Calypso Coral Ink Pad. I'm going to use the large blending brush. This is the large blending brush. These are the small blending brushes. both will work. This just covers up more surface, and this gets into the little itty bitty pieces. And of course, if you need little intricate, then you would go with the sponge daubers. Okay, these are good too. We'll be using these in one of the samples that I'll be doing later. You can wash these out and use them on multiple colors. I like to use, for some projects, I use one for the color. Some of them I just use one for multiple colors. Like this would be like my peach pie, this would be my Calypso Coral, and so on. So you get the picture. I don't like to wash them. I don't feel like I don't like how they wash up, but this also gives you lots of ink. So I'm gonna go on to this piece here. This is just a scrap. We're gonna pick up some color, and I am only gonna do like maybe this much. I'm not going to do very much. You want to take some of the color off so it's not so bold when you go onto your paper. I like to swirl, and you're just going to go start off of your paper and then go onto your project and just swirl. Okay, pick up some more color, tap off. Now I want it darker down here in this right corner, but lighter as it goes up the page. I hope I'm not shaking the camera too much. And you can put as little or as much ink as you want, wherever you want. And I think this one is lighter, so I'm gonna go with that and leave that there. So that piece is done. Then we are going to glue this on, and see there's a back. I know I really didn't like cutting that up, but I wanted this side. So we're going to take some glue, and this is the liquid, liquid glue, and we're going to glue this down. Now this is a 6x6 card base scored in half, so at 3, and this piece is going to cover this totally. I'll do my little trick here. And we got some that we're going to need to trim off, which is fine. I am going to trim this off on 2 sides. Just smearing that glue out. Now, because it adhered quicker than I thought it was going to adhere, we're going to take a little bit off of the bottom here, and this little overhang up here I'm going to take off. There we go. Paper trimmer is amazing. Unless you've seen me do that, you would not have known that I actually did that. Just where I cut the paper, it kind of leaves like a little edge. So I like it to be nice and flat. Okay, so that is ready. I'm going to set that aside to dry as well. And then, let's see, I think we are ready to color this piece here. We can go ahead and, this is what we're aiming to do. Okay, so this is what our finished project is going to look like. So I think what we could do is we are going to go ahead and put this down onto our card front. So I am just going to put a little glue around this opening here. And we're going to attach this to here. Fun fact about this Tombow liquid glue. If you let the glue dry, it becomes like a sticky note, like this type of thing, which then is removable. If you adhere your paper to it while it's wet, then it becomes permanent. So that is just a tip for you. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and attach this to our card front. I'm just going to attach it right here, and I'm just going to use glue here on the white. Letting some of this Calypso Coral show through. Okay, we're almost done. The longest part on this one is actually coloring. So I am not going to have you watch me color this whole thing, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I am going to use the Calypso Coral Light and the Dark, okay? And then I may or may not use the Calypso Coral #2 watercolor pencil. I will be using the dark pecan pie and the light pecan pie. I just use my label maker and made these so I can see them better when they're on my shelf. And it's easy for videos so that you can see what color I'm using. Okay, so what I'm doing is Stampin' Up! Is really good. The artists are really great at putting in shadow lines for us. So these little lines here are called shadow lines. So you're just going to use the dark marker where you would want a shadow, where you would want the petal to be the darkest. Okay, and it's haphazard. You don't have to be precise. You're just going in and adding color. So, and I just did some dots here. I don't want to have you guys watching me do this all the time. Okay, so you can go as dark or as light as you want, but I am going to blend this colors in. Okay, so I laid down my dark first, and then I'm going to show you. And then you're going to take your lighter color and you're going to go blend these in. Okay, so make sure that you put your lids on these really tight because they are alcohol based and they will evaporate. And when you go to use them the next time and you can't because they're dry. So now this is the lighter. It has two tips. It has a brush tip and it has a bullet tip. I like to use the thicker tip when I'm blending. So I'm just going to go in circles over the top of what I just colored with the dark. And what that does is that blends it in and leaves that nice shadow there without having a stark line. Now, if that is your preference, absolutely. This is your card. You make it however you want. You know, I'm not one for coloring. I do not like to color, but the blends just makes it so effortless. And as does the watercolor pencils. Just not a colorer for some reason. I just don't like it. Okay, so as this dries, it will get lighter. And then we can go back in and add more dark shadows if we want to. We can also use the color lifter to pull some of the color. It doesn't really pull it off, it just moves the color around. Now see, there's some dark here. I think I might leave that there because I kind of like it. Okay. And we'll definitely add more dark on this one. Let's go in with the dark pecan pie for the leaves. Again, I'm going to do the same thing just where those lines are. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in with the light and just blend over it. Now, you can also leave white spots. It does not have to be colored in totally. You can leave the white spots because that looks like where the light has hit it. You can do that. Okay, so that's all I'm going to color on these, and I'll show you another variation. Okay, let me go show you the color lifter real quick. Okay, that's all we're going to do on that. The color lifter is a great tool. If you go out of lines just a little bit, it'll help move that color back into your project. But as you see, I've done some color lifting and it does not pick up the color, it just moves it. So where a natural highlight would be, you just add, and you won't see it right away. Or if something is too dark and you want it lighter, you can definitely go in and move the color. But you'll start seeing where it's moved. Let's do a drastic one so that you really see it. Now you'll see it start to move. I don't know. Can you see that right there where it's white there? That's where I actually move the color. Okay? So you can go as dark. You can go as dark color as this one. or as light as this one. Now, I did this one here with the colored pencil. So I went into the line, did the lines with the Calypso Coral Dark to make my shadows. And then I colored in, not using water, just using the colored pencils, and did circular motions around, leaving some white spaces. So this is yet another way to do that. And of course you can always watercolor it too with the aqua painter and your ink pad. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you can squish your ink pad. It works with this is an older pad, but it also works with the new pads too. This is a new pad. Just squish it. And in here, oh, this one didn't work so well. Let me see. Let me give it some oomph. And see how I smushed the pad into the lid or to the bottom, and you would use this ink with your aqua painter to watercolor. Okay, so you can also add color to your flowers with that as well. So here are three different types. This one's lighter than this one. This one's dark. I just did more dark. And then this one is with the Stampin' Blends and the watercolor pencil. So see, three different looks. It just depends on what it is you want. So we are going to go ahead and finish. We're going to go ahead and cut this one out. So let me bring in my... Now this one is the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is the large one, so it takes up quite a bit of space on my table, but it is okay. We have plate number 1, plate number 2, plate number 3, and then we need another plate number 3, and then this one here, I know I've got him here somewhere. We are going to tape this down here. Let's see, let's cut this one out since this one is finished. Let's cut this one out. And let's just match this up, making sure I'm in camera here. So we're just going to add this. Okay, I'm going to turn my paper around so it goes in. Doesn't matter, but I want it to go in this way. And then we're going to wheel it in. Sorry for the shaking of the camera. Okay, there we go. All right, so there we go there. All right, look, I already got ink on me. I cannot stamp without getting ink on me. Okay, so here's our finished flower. Now this one, I didn't want a lot of dimension, so I just left it flat. But I do want to tuck this little stem down into here. So that's why I didn't put a lot of glue. So I do want the stem to go down in there. So I'm going to add some more glue underneath this one on the backs. And I'm just going to add it right there. Holding it for just a second so that it has time to adhere. And then we're also going to use a little bit of the basic beige. And this is the, I don't know them all. This is just the classic ribbon. So I'm just going to take a bit like this. I got a little string hanging there. Okay. And I'm going to use glue dots for this one, just to hold it down. So I'm going to put a glue dot here. So I can hold my ribbon together like this. You can use your glue, you can use your seal. And then another glue dot here. And we're just going to add this right here. You may need to trim these down just a tad, which I think I might. Oops, that didn't get angled as much as I wanted it to. There we go. right, and then this one here, you've been on my mind. We are going to stamp that and Pecan Pie. And this is just a 1-inch strip. And this could be for any occasion. I think that's a little off, so I'm going to do it again. It's just paper, folks, right? It's just paper. Okay, oh, almost done. See how quick that is? And I'm not a straight cutter. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm not. So we are just going to just trim it here. Let's see. Do it there. Okay. And then this one here, I am going to pop up with dimensionals. I think we'll use the big ones. Let's see. I'm going to put it in this corner up here, just so that it doesn't, it adheres to the paper and not the ribbon, as the ribbon is already stuck. And we're going to put it right about there. What do you think? Okay, there's that. Then we're going to add some pressed floral motifs. We're going to add a couple of those. And this is my U-Pick tool, which I absolutely love. I say that in every video, but it is so true. I use it all the time. And one down, let's see, right there. Big one here. And a little one. This one's going to have 5 on there. Let's go down here. Okay, so there is the card there. Now you can add some Wink of Stella onto your flower to make it glisten. You could do some ink splatters if you want to do that. But on this one, I did stamp a panel for the inside. Well, actually, for the inside. So here is the panel for the inside. I finished this one up. You can also watercolor your flower here. Now, it's going to watercolor a little differently on this cardstock than it did the white. So just be aware of that. Just be aware. That's all. So here we go. That's it for this one for day 5. I will be back on Thursday with more cards. So this ends the beautiful gallery. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Gallery Blooms page. So here you go. What do you think? Go have some fun. Go create something beautiful. Have a great day. Bye.